What's up, everybody? Well, today I am here to bring to you another vacuum that's in my vacuum collection. And I am here to bring for you today a very special Hoover Elite. What I have for you guys today is Mrs. Doubtfire's vacuum. A Hoover Elite 2 Total System Performance 430. I have been looking all over the place for this very vacuum. I've checked all the way around, from eBay to OfferUp to Facebook Marketplace, any of my local thrift stores, pawn shops, anything that sells used vacuums. And I just could never find this vacuum. Because this vacuum is such a collector's item. Not just from vacuum collectors, but also from non-vacuum collectors that just love watching Mrs. Doubtfire, that Robin Williams movie. And frankly, that's honestly one of my more favorite Robin Williams movies ever. And I'm not gonna lie, I wanted this vacuum ever since I saw that movie. And this was used in a couple of scenes, especially the one with Robin dancing around with it. So part of this video I will dedicate to the comedy legend himself, Robin Williams. You are deeply missed. Gone but not forgotten. But we're not here to talk about Robin's legacy. We're here to talk about this very vacuum. So I bought this on eBay, and regrettably, I bought this for way more than I should have bought it for. But I just had to have this vacuum in my collection. Specifically because this has a lot of history behind it. Not just for Hoover, but also movie theater history as well. And now it's finally in my collection, and I can show it to you guys. So this was definitely one of the middle of the line Hoovers, because this one, although it does have, interestingly enough, side mount attachments, it also is the one to have a slide top bag and only 2 levels of height adjustment. So this isn't top of the line, but just this vacuum model's entire history is just what made me have to have it. And probably is the same reason why these models are getting so hard to find, especially in good running shape. So now let's go ahead and give a walkthrough of the cleaner. You see, it just has your standard handle grip along the top. And you will note that this one is the version that has the slide top bag. There was another variant of this Elite 2 Total System Performance 430 that came with a side zip bag that I did not want, because I wanted this specific model with the slide top bag, the side mount attachments, labeling on the top hood above the headlight and all, and 2 level height adjustment. So anyway, to get access to your inner bag on this, you gotta just slide this clip off the top bag spring right here. Then you could slide it off on either side to get access to your inner bag. And I am currently running, as I do in all my Elites or any other Hoover cleaners that takes these bags, Hoover Type A generic Hepa cloth bags. They filter so much better than even the genuine paper bags do of the time, and are just overall much better bags, not just in increased filtration, but also they maintain the suction and airflow constant throughout the entire vacuuming process. And they're just overall much better bags. You have right here your label on the front that says Hoover Dual Purpose. Nice like flake texture on the outer bag. That's one thing I do like about these. So as we move along, you also will notice these Elites are old enough to have a gray body instead of a black body, which honestly looks more aesthetically pleasing, and it gives it a much more vintage look. So as we come along down here, we do have your Hoover Elite 2 Total System Performance 430 lettering on the front. This was one of Hoover's famous marketing techniques of the time. Before, I think it was 93, when they started switching to the cleaning effectiveness per amp, and some would have lower or higher levels of cleaning effectiveness, which that was just nothing but a marketing technique to make the lower end models look prettier on the shelves while also giving them a higher price tag. You also do have your little Hoover symbol on the front right there. And down here you have your 2-level height adjustment. Goes from low to high. Now there's also a secret hidden setting right here in the middle. So technically this has 3 levels of height adjustment, not just 2. You can just leave that right there in the middle if you have medium pile carpet like I do. It does have brushed edge cleaning on both sides. You also do have your door right here for cleaning tools. Just slide this up and put your hose in if you want to use your onboard tools. And now let's go ahead and flip this thing on its back to show you the underside. Here is the brush roll in this. This is a genuine new old stock brush roll that I had from another Elite, and I decided just to throw it into this just to see how it would work. Originally, the brush roll in this would have been a single row brush roll with these stiff white bristles, but I actually decided to run the the dual row in this because it obviously cleans much better and also will pick up a lot better than a lot of the single row brush rolls. Although those are pretty good for a low end brush roll. Besides, they still have these stiff bristles, so those agitate a bit better, but they don't pick up nearly as good as these dual rows do. You can obviously tell this is a later model brush roll that doesn't have these the added bristles right here on the middle that would contact these Ingis bars. Hoover eventually went to this route in later years to kind of save bristle length, because early variants would have the bristles right there that would contact even the single rows of the time. So now let's go ahead and turn this thing on its back to show you the model number. This is Hoover Cleaner model U4617-910, 120 volts, 60 hertz. It has a 6.5 amp motor. Now, one thing I would like to point out, the motor on these actually came with 3 different motor variants depending on what year or month it was sold. The original motor that came in this vacuum, and one that I initially wanted, was the 5 amp motor that ran a lot more quiet, didn't have as much power as these later high performance motors do, but they obviously ran a lot quiet and honestly performed about as good as the 7 amp or higher, if I'm all honest. Then there was also a 5.5 amp motor that came, I think, at the start of 92. Then I think about halfway through the production life, they switched to this 6.5 amp motor that this has, which is good in hindsight because this is a higher performance motor. But anyway, you see, it's the Series B 6.5, bag type A. The belt part number is 38528-027. Serial number for this 0592. That the first and second digit decode the month, third and fourth decodes the year. So that means this vacuum was manufactured in May of 1992 by the Hoover Company of North Canton, Ohio, for household use only, made in the USA. Alright, let's go and tip this back up. Oh, you will notice a little bit of a color difference on the motor housing right here. That is because the seller I bought this off of actually completely serviced the motor front to back with all new bearings inside, and he even sealed up the fan chamber with aluminum tape, which is one thing Hoover did to these Elite motors of the time, which a lot of people, when they service this, they forget to seal it up with aluminum tape, but that's just some insurance to ensure that the fan housing is completely sealed up, which you can do to these. And you also put the black plastic motor because the original plastic on that motor was so deteriorated and brittle, and it pretty much disintegrated right on him, I imagine. Had that situation happen on me once. So the motor housing he got was from a later 7-amp motor that would have had a black plastic instead of gray plastic, which, not a major deal. The internals of the motor are still the same 6.5 amp that this would have had of the time. So as we move along to the back here, we do have here your upholstery tool, your crevice tool, and your dusting brush, all of which are white to give it a much old school feel, and sometimes can be a little bit difficult to attach. You also do right here on the side your single extension wand and your hose mounted on the side like so. I'll go ahead and demonstrate those part later in the video. You also do have a nice white colored power cord, which is another thing for these older Hoovers of the time. And speaking of cord, let's go ahead and get to the part that you guys have been wanting to see, the turning on and running. So let's go ahead and release said cord, which unfortunately, because this is a lower end model, it doesn't have the longest of cord. So that is unfortunate. So let's go ahead and plug this guy in. And so we'll go ahead and turn this thing on and demo it for you guys. And you can hear the way this thing runs. Runs very nice and smooth since the motor was serviced. And one nice interesting surprise for me, which I honestly didn't expect, is I think when the seller serviced this whole motor, I think he threw in an upgraded fan impeller that has 20 blades instead of 7 blades, which you can instantly tell because the 20 blade fans have a very distinct sound when they're running. They run a lot more quiet while also drawing much more suction and airflow. So anyway, this thing still is pretty loud, so that's just the nature of them. So headphone users or those with sensitive hearing, I would advise turning down your volume. And right down here is your power switch, typical Elite style, that's mounted on the side, that is connected to a plastic rod that runs down into where a main rocker switch is in the valley of the motor. And so with that said, here we go. runs exceptionally smooth. Runs very nice and quiet. Almost sounds like the original 5 amp motor I wanted, but definitely performs much better than that 5 amp would have. So before we end the video, let's go ahead and demonstrate this in tool mode. So let's go ahead and remove the hose from the tool rack. Lift up the little detachment door, and then it'll just pop in like that. Because this vacuum is direct air, don't expect miracles as far as suction power goes. The suction is not really the highest on these. Direct airs are known to produce more airflow than suction. Alright. Well, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this special video on the Hoover Elite 2 Total System Performance 430, the same vacuum that was featured on Mrs. Doubtfire. Be sure and stay tuned, and don't forget to like, rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.